directly valid cognitions, to perceive the direct, valid, conventional things. And this is true that the direct perceptions of the methods or the means of the relative things. Then there are the names of the unborn, unlike the kind of the death and unseparabilities. This sort of the name is like automatically, naturally occurring, even you without saying the logical or not logical, and valid or not valid. But through these investigations, then those names are appearing. And then is the next, the a verse. It is like kind of talking about the valid cognition of the analysis of the relative truths, and how it is like if someone's like to say not agree that maybe it is a little bit kind of an agreement. And if you say like this, without the true kind of conventional valid cognitions, this is a very, very important true kind of the conventional valid cognitions, to perceiving as the purity impurities, and these conventional valid cognitions. And some in the perspective, they never accept that it's like a true valid cognitions in the conventional perspective. Only in the conventional valid cognitions perceive the impurity of in these relative things. And pure vision would seem false. That's right. And you like kind of the seeing is like the faults, seeing is impurity, appearances. But that moment, how you can to meditate is like purities, because it's like a direct, valid cognizers perceive the impurity of this valid, the relative contaminated things are. And then how you can to meditate on the relative perspective. And that times you cannot to say the pure visions, because it is like, what do you mean visions? And that is like a kind of the problem. It is the how do you say, is the natural dispositions, natural dispositions, and also the inherent existence of the Dharmakaya qualities, and like a kind of the 4 fearless, 10 like powers, 18 the no-mixed qualities. It is like Dharmakaya qualities. We say it's Dharmakaya. Dharmakaya is not comes through the changing process. Dharmakaya is not kind of the result of through your purification. Dharmakaya, it is like a kind of result of through the purification or the eradication of the obscurations. Like for example, sun is in the sky, and then is between there is adventitious of the clouds, and the cloud is the obscurations. They clean up the cloud, it is the process of the accumulations, like purification aspect. And when you are purified, of course there's a process, like slowly the cloud is going away. There's a process, or now it's like cloud is lesser and lesser and lesser you come to say. But the ultimate inside the sun itself, it is already there's like kind of the, how do we say, inherently, in the beginning there is the sun and the light. It's the sun, and the sun, it's light. It is not comes from the purification or to taking a clean up of the cloud. Cloud just adventitious in the between. And this is like the lesser, slowly, the cleaning aspect or the cleaning process of the clouds. Then we can to talking about the path, bhumis. But of course, through like that is a maturation qualities here. Okay, now the sun is completed on the blue skies. Then there's a blue sky completely, and there is no like cloud adventitious. This sort of the remarkable things is appeared, but sun itself, how you can to say is new remarkable things already there. And that perspective, each phenomena, each essence of the true natures, mind, the referent of the aspect or the cognitive aspect, any kind of perspective, each individual own identity or the true nature of the realities, they inherently, and the beginning, they are like same as the sun. It doesn't matter whatever you have the adventitious, the obscurations, but there is, and the yogis and the like kind of pure regions to meditate on that, and then it's like we say the direct meditations. Is direct meditation is not kind of imaginations. It is because it is like this, in the word my perfect teachers, and the first part talking about the attitude and conduct. And there's talking about two kind of attitude, vasta attitude and skillful Vajrayanas attitude. And skillful, the attitude of the Vajrayanas, and says like that you need to do good attitude relate to the 5 perfections. It is the pure, outer pure, there's the place, and the inner pure, the sanghas, and the pure of the teacher, pure of the teachings, pure of the times. To maintain that, there is augmentation. Someone say, I'm perceiving this kind of ugly thing, how I can to meditate. But that is like direct to meditate on that. And then it's like more fast, more quickly. And also it is not a kind of exaggeration inherently. At the beginning, it's like this. But there is like kind of the superimpositionally through the ignorant, through the formations, through the label ignorant, and then we become confusions. The confusion itself is like kind of adventitious for that is a true nature of reality. True nature of the reality, true nature itself is like, we are all the time talking, it cannot to become the sentient beings, cannot like kind of to say the Buddha. It is go beyond that. And positive, beyond positive, negative, beyond the samsara and nirvana. It is the universal. And that perspective, and also it's like we can to have good, bad, and the path of the samsara and path of nirvana. Maybe I want to somehow give kind of the informations. Enlightenment, that means it's like to recognize the true nature of these realities. Of course, that is the principally like this, but that is not our really enlightenment. Enlightenment is should to be enlightenment on the movement. It is not the base, the nature, the ground, on the ground. Ground, it is we say it's like the kind of it's neutral. It's the ground itself, it is like loma, then how do you say? Neutral or long matenpa. Not the kind of specific kind of the details or the like a side. You can just, yes, not is like that. It is the neutral, it is like this. And then is this samsara and nirvana, where is the deviation is? The movement perspective. The movement of this neutral, this ground perspective, it has qualities. It's possible to appear the negative. It's possible to appear the positive. For example, like present our mind. It's easy to direct to see. It's our mind is not fixated. Sometimes very angry, very much negative mind. And then that moment, my mind is really negative? Not at all. It's impermanent. Change is positive. Compassion, happy, smiling. And then it's like this kind of alternate, but the mind is never kind of to change it into one way. If there's like the movement is negative, then the essential mind is negative forever? Never. The essential mind, it is we call the Buddha nature, and it's the universal ground of the positive thoughts and negative thoughts. That is the obvious, direct we can to perceive that. And that perspective, then I say the movement means, for example, the temporary samsara and nirvanas, we can to recognize. When you're happy, it's a samsara. It doesn't, the nirvana. This is the nirvana, okay? Happiness. It maybe is like you have the 1 second happiness. This is the 1 second nirvana. If you have 1 hour's happy, it's a 1 hour's nirvana. If you want 1 month, all the time is happy, there's a monthly nirvana. And 1 year you are happy, yearly nirvana. Life, you are like happiness. This is life for the forever. Forever in the future, so happy, then nirvana is this. And then it's like a little bit you are angry, sad, depressed, anxieties. 1 minute, it is the samsara. Like kind of 1 hour, 1 month, 1 year, and this at the moment samsaras and nirvanas. We can to say it's like, therefore we call the cyclic existence. These two are the kind of the like existence. But they are alternately, like a kind of turning, big cycles. Samsara, nirvana is coming like this. This is like our short. Longer term, we are like kind of through the meditations, through the recitations, through the studying, through the reflections on the Dharmas. We are trying to extend it, these periods, these kind of durations. Maybe it's through the meditation, through the analysis, through the like kind of the like recitations. These happy periods, longer. And there's the path and the bhumis. 1 day is like longer, we can to say the yearly happiness. 1 day may be lively like the happiness. 1 day is the forever. See? And that means it's the movement is become absolutely is a positive. And then movement, there's in the perspective of the true nature, whatever movement, it is the positive. Nothing existent of the negative things. Because that means it's the end of the 10th bhumis. We eradicated the movement of the negative. Negative movement is merged, dissolved into the positive movement. Nothing left there is. Just like kind of ice melted into the waters. And then it's like there's a movement means, for example, how much is enlightened activities. Last time we studied like 27 activity or the 32 activities. There's endless activities for the enlightened activities and of the samsaras. But this kind of no need to put effort, no need kind of the to arrangement, spontaneously presents it permanently, like without like conceptual. This is, and therefore here is like kind of through these things. Conventional valid cognitions, someone say is like this is cannot to have the true deviations, because it's like there's only one appearances, like a kind of the impure appearances in the relatively, and then this relatively to changing process, to the relative to divided what is correct, what is incorrect, to changing this process. To more collect to that, and then the later is Buddha nature is occurring, and then is the enlightenment also through that is like that. And the essential nature, the Buddha nature is occurring this process. The beginning is quite difficult. This kind of, if you as like a beginning enter into the path, you practice pure perceptions, it's maybe it's a fault, because it's like you can't. Why? Because it's like the Buddha nature is not inherently existent into our minds. It's like a kind of the gradual purifications through the process of the path bhumis. Maybe it's and then it's coming later like this. Probably this is maybe we need to more check. Even for the impurity, it would be infeasible to say of the conch shells what is the true color, and yellow it is not. And one is like to see the conch, to see that whatever directly, and whatever you perceive that directly, and at that moment you see the white, or to see that like kind of to the yellow, and that is like you can to divide it. This through this, the white is the correct, yellow is incorrect, and in the relatively sometimes it's like we analyze. There is like correct things we presuming. There's not kind of the follow up. The maybe it's the pure perception or something. And then it's like there is like correct things presuming, incorrect things avoid through this process, and then you can also to be the enlightened man, because it's like purification is like this. For example, negative are the avoid, and the positive we can pursue, and more pursue, and then it's like this is the to investigating the real what conch, correct, positive things, and to when you see the like this yellow conch and it's negative, to avoid, need to purify it. If like this, then maybe this is the correct things like this. And then it's like the next verse. And without the true approach to the ultimate analysis, we would not know utterly of the true truth. The ultimate would fall into conceptual extremes and be cause for its very own destructions. And like this, and if we haven't got this true classification of the valid cognition, or relate to the ultimate reality, let categorizations of what do you say is categorizations, uncategorizations, ultimate categorization, categorize ultimate, uncategorize ultimate. And these two are, if not existence in the absolute perspectives, then it's like how we can to know about the unit of the true truth, the truth of the relative truth, and the truth of the absolute truth. And therefore, as the ultimate would fall into the conceptual extremes. And then it's like the absolute truth is to be into the extreme of the elaborations. And this is like, if not these two valid cognitions, and it's like we cannot to make it enjoy what it is. Only it's like you falling one side. You only care about the categorized absolute truth. You don't care about the uncategorized, the absolute truth, valid cognitions. And then it's like one is like you holding, other is lost. Then it's like kind of the extreme is like conceptuals. Then it's of course it's caused to make their own destructions, destroying into the yourself. Okay, like this. Then it's 57. We can just stop there.